Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and what I need you guys to do is to set up a Heroku account. So I know we haven't fixed sort of our route error yet, but we are far along enough to deploy to Heroku so that way you know how that works. And then you can refactor the code from there. And then the minute I kind of discover sort of how to fix that error, I'll make the final video so we can refactor that code. But we can still get it up online, see maybe it works better once it's deployed. We'll test that out. But we're going to use Heroku. So you're going to go to Heroku. The account is free. Set up your account. And then what you're going to want to do is download the Heroku CLI. Okay? That means command line interface. And make sure you download it for your right OS. Okay? Now, if you're downloading it for Windows, okay, you're not going to be able to use it inside of Git Bash. So when you installed Git Bash, hopefully you chose to also allow Git commands to be used in the Windows command line. Okay, and ideally what you should be using is the NodeJS command prompt. So when you install Windows Node.js on Windows, it actually comes with its own version of the command prompt, which just works better with Node. So make sure you fish that out of your computer and kind of pin it to your taskbar. So we'll open that up. Let me go to my project folder. CD change directory projects, CD coapps, CD first coapp. Here we go. What you're going to do is that now that you have Heroku set up, or you're logged in, you're going to type in Heroku login, and you're going to log into your Heroku account. You're going to push any button, and this is going to key up your browser so you can log into Heroku. Since you're already logged in online, just type in login, and it'll already kick that in. So now, if I go back to the command line, I'm logged in. Wonderful. And you have to be in the folder, and you have to already have a Git repository. So if you haven't created a Git repository, make sure you do like git init to create your Git repository in your project folder. Okay? And then you've made a commit. Okay, so let's see here. Next thing you want to do is do Heroku create. I already did this, so it'll be very quick. But what this is going to do is going to create the project and also create a remote in your Git. Okay, we created another one, so interesting. Okay, so it creates the application, so this is successful. And then there's the new remote Git that's part of your project. Cool. Now, before we go any further here, we want to make sure that your code's all set up. So let's go back to our code editor. I'm using Visual Studio Code, but you could be using Sublime, Atom, whatever floats your boat. Okay, and there's a couple things you want to make sure that are in place before we deploy the Heroku. Okay. So one, we want to create a new file called proc file. No extensions, just proc file. And the only thing you should say is node index.js or whatever your startup file is, whether it's server.js or whatever JS. Okay, because that's going to tell tell Heroku when it kicks off your program that's how you kickstart it. You're going to node index.js, and that's going to start up your server and get your program going. Let me just make this save here. Save. Okay. Then you want to make sure your .gitignore exists, so that way you don't commit your node modules folder and your .env. Because again, your .env is where you're putting all these private variables that you don't want there to be publicly visible. So how do you use them online if you're not uploading the .env file? I'll show you that in a second. And then you want to make sure that your package.json has all the right dependencies. Because what's going to happen is, since you're not uploading your node modules folder, okay, what's going to happen is that when you push this code, Heroku is automatically going to go look in your package.json folder and install everything that's there. Okay, all your dependencies, so that way your program works. So you want to make sure that everything is listed there. But if you've just been installing using npm, they should all be listed there. Okay, always make sure you do it cleanly. So npm install to install, npm uninstall to uninstall. Don't just delete stuff. You could do that, but you could end up forgetting to delete it out of the modules folder, but deleting it out of your package.json. You could end up deleting it from your modules folder, but not from your package.json. Just do it the right way. Cool. So now that you have that, okay, what's going to happen is that we need to set up all those environment variables, okay, in Heroku. Okay, so I'll make a fake one because I want you guys seeing the variables that I've set up, but you'll set up yours. And the way you do that is you're going to do Heroku config. And if I do Heroku config, I can see all my existing variables. Okay, so right now there is no config variables. Okay, so then what I do Heroku config set. Okay, I'll set test to equal test. This is just to show you how that works. Okay, so it's going to create an environmental variable called test that's going to equal test. Cool. Okay, and then if I type in Heroku config, we'll see that listed there. So now my Heroku account has those environmental variables in there. So anywhere that I use environmental variables, instead of looking in my .env file, Heroku will create its own sort of .env file for it to refer to. So you don't have to change your code. Whoever says process.env.variable, long as the variables are the same name, it should just work. Okay, the other thing we need to change is back to your index.json, or your index.js. We need to change your your port. It needs to be on port 5000 because Heroku works off port 5000. So make sure that says 5000. Okay, so we changed that. So from now on, we're using port 5000. Okay. So I'm going to pause for a second, set up my environmental variables, and I'll show you the next step. So I set up my environmental variables. The next step is we want to test this out before we deploy it. I am going to do one more commit. So again, if you're using Git, well, you have to be using Git. So you're going to want to git add any files that have been changed since the last time you've committed. And then you want to git commit -m. Okay, commit before deploy. And again, you always want to make your Git messages clear. Route problem still exists. Cool. Okay, so that's that. Now what you can do is you can test it out and run the code locally as if it were running on Heroku, which means it's going to run on port 5000. And two, it's going to read from the environmental variables you created on Heroku, not from the ones in your .env file. And the way you do that is you're going to type in Heroku local. Okay, boop, 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 boop. Error, missing script start. Package.json file found. One of no. It's trying to do npm start, but it should be doing proc file. Let's see. So it said it couldn't find the script node npm start. And just so you know, you can actually define scripts in your package.json. That's kind of here in this part of your package.json. It always by default has this test script, but if you want to create more, you just put a comma, it's an object. And then again, this script is called start. And what it does is just runs node index.js. So basically when this npm start runs, it's just going to node index.js. I'm going to save it. And you can create as many of those as you want that run test code, whatnot. I don't play with that too often, but a lot of times when you use boilerplates of other frameworks, they'll have a bunch of scripts already built out for you for testing your software and all sorts of cool stuff. Let's go over here. Let me commit that. Git commit dash. First let's add git add git commit added npm start script. Then let's try to run it locally again. Heroku local. Okay. Oh, okay, it's working good. All our little startup things have popped up. That is good. So now let's go to our browser and type in localhost. This time it's going to be localhost 5000. And there's our blog. Okay, it's working. Let's see how lucky we are and see if nope, still our little problem still exists. But it's working. Okay, and it's connecting to the database because it's populating all the little blog posts that we created. So everything is functioning and working. That's how it'll work on Heroku. Now let's actually send it to Heroku. So let's go back to our command line. Control C to cancel out the server. There we go. Terminate that. Yep. Whatever. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. That might be a sign of what our possible error is, but we'll come back to that. And then what you'll do, since it's all committed, you're going to do git push, but instead of origin master as if you were pushing the GitHub, you're going to do git push Heroku master. Okay, git push Heroku master, and what that does is going to push the code over to Heroku. So see, it pushes all the code. It's all in dependencies. It's doing its thing. Build, node modules, pressing. Yeah, it's just installing. Now it's deploying it because everything went fine. Okay, so let's see, verifying deploy. Yep, so the deploy is good. So it deploys it to this URL here. So we can go test that out. Okay, I'm assuming that I copied it. So let's see, Control V. And it's still loading. I can tell because it's still saying waiting. Okay, so nope, we're still waiting for it to load. The first time it's going to take a second since the server's spinning up. So it's loading, it's loading. What I will do is I'm going to open it in a new tab so we can see it more real time. Okay, let's see how. Sometimes it takes a while to load. Again, Heroku is more like the free service of Heroku is more for you to build projects for your portfolio. You upgrade your package to have much faster service for more actual production applications. But that might be taking a while. Let's see here if our command line is telling us anything about what's going on there. I mean, everything should be working fine. Okay, it might just have to do with that error we have in the code. But theoretically, then we should be able to see our project back in our account here. Okay, so let's see here. And this one is called Radiant Badlands 229999. Okay, then I have these 4 empty projects. I should figure out what those are and clean, because I think I accidentally created a bunch of extra projects by accident. So I need to clean that out later on, but don't need to do that right now. Page isn't working, application error. Okay, so there's some sort of error again we need to fix in the app, which we will fix. Okay, but for the most part, when we ran Heroku local, it was working. So that means the problem is in the code. We set up our environmental variables fine. We set up our proc file fine. Everything should be a-okay. Okay. So in that case, that's basically how you push to Heroku. I will again keep investigating that weird route error, and we will play with that later on. But basically now you guys know all the steps to creating a full stack application, from setting up the database to using Node to deploying to Heroku. We've kind of covered it all. Now we just need to make sure that our app is working 100%. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Do join my networking Slack group so that way you can meet other developers. Just go to alexmercedcoder.com. You'll find it there. I'll see you guys later on.